Morning, here we are with another Monday morning Q&A. Camera quality is not so good this week because I'm out and about. So a few people jumping on already and saying good morning. That's always nice to see. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm working on my laptop today because I'm in sunny Somerset. So it's been a very active weekend, and I'm very active today actually. So yeah, some camera's just as good as what my laptop is, so not as good as when I've got it set up at home, but there we are. Hey. So I had a very interesting Saturday, tell you about that in a minute, and today's going to be really interesting because I'm out doing some filming for my YouTube channel. So maybe you've seen that. If you haven't, let me give you a quick link into my YouTube channel. There we are. And cut and copy and paste. There we are. So got over 100 videos now on the YouTube channel. Where's my little tip videos? I do case studies, and these are people that have trained with me at advanced level. Sometimes they're on my mentorship programs, and if they have got a project that demonstrates or illustrates part of my training, I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel, and people seem to like them because it's not just, oh, here's what happened, we did this and it all was wonderful. They're multi-episode case studies, so you can see the project developing as it goes, and you can see the trials and tribulations, because hey, property isn't all plain sailing, is it? So that's the real. It's like I make it real world stuff. So what am I doing today? Well, one of my students, Edward, he's just bought a property at auction last week, and it looks a bit of a wreck. So we're going to go and video that, and he's going to tell me his plans for it, and we'll see exactly the scale of the opportunity or scale of the problem that he's got to deal with. And you'll see that loaded up on my YouTube channel under the under my case study section in the next couple of weeks, probably, once we get it all edited. And then this afternoon from there, I'm down to North Devon, in a very picturesque spot, seeing Mandy and Carlton. Now, they're already on the channel. That's Mandy and Carlton and the ICF new build. And this is the other end of the project. I think they've had about 11 episodes now where you can see the start of the project, where I visited them in January 2020 before lockdown 1, and we managed to find a sunny January day, and we laid out some plans on the boot of their car, and had a look at what they're doing, and throughout 2020, throughout the lockdowns, they were posting updates on how the build was progressing. Well, now it's all finished, so we're going to go and do the wrap-up video today, and see exactly how that turned out. So now, and this is good because this is the first one that I'm going to have a start and an end. The others are following. Kathy in the bakery, she's getting close to completing her project, and Maggie in the Castle View. So I was with Maggie at one of my mentorship meetings last Friday, and she's getting close to doing her one, so she's got loads of updates to send us on that. So there we are, busy day today. What about Saturday? Well, I was back out doing live events, and hey, how good was that? So actually getting in a room with property investors interested in doing buy, refurb, refinance, socially distanced, of course, and with the appropriate COVID protocols in place, and the hotel did a good job keeping us safe. But it was great. It wasn't a massive event. I had 20 plus investors, or nearly 30 investors in there, and I think it was a great relief to actually come out and spend some time with real people again. Zoom's great. This is this serves its purpose, but there's nothing quite like actually meeting and chatting and networking. And had a couple of great speakers on with me as well. Had Martin Rapley, who did a masterclass on refurb project management and how to keep your refurb on time and on budget. And then we had Jay Howard at the back end of the day, and he was telling us how to win more deals at auction, which is always difficult because you're always going to get idiots going to try and outbid you. But so there we are. Great. So it's good to be back in the land of the living, so to speak, and had enough time being stuck at home. We all have, haven't we? So there we are. Anyway, so that's what I've been up to, and but thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in today. And if you haven't tuned in before, I know a lot of you do. If you haven't tuned in before, I do this every Monday morning. Well, pretty much every Monday morning. Not going to be around next Monday morning because it's a bank holiday Monday, and I'm sure you've got more interesting things to do on your bank holiday Monday morning than sit around with me. So I'll be back from 2 weeks today. But if you're tuning in, thanks very much. And if you're watching the replay in whichever channel we've come through, because I put this out on several channels, it comes out on YouTube, a couple of Facebook groups, a couple of my Facebook pages. So wherever you are, thanks for that. And if you're watching the replay, just thanks for watching the replay. If you couldn't watch it live, but just stick a hashtag replay in there for me. Okay, so what do we do? So it's a property finance Q&A. So there are two distinct parts to this. And the first bit is down to you guys, because you've got to ask a question, because unless you ask it, I can't answer it. We've got a couple of questions coming in there. Now, so I jump on here for, we say approximately 30 minutes. Sometimes it drags out a bit longer than that. Not that I mind, because if I'm answering questions, you're getting some value. So there we are. So a few good mornings. Good to see some people here. And let's start with some questions. Now, I'll pop the question up on screen. I'll read it out, but you can also see the question as well as trying to rely on just my verbal discussion or interpretation of it. So Richard, there we are. So good to see you, Richard. Now, Richard's working with me at my top level gold standard mentorship program. So good to see you here today, Richard. You found a property with a very short lease, 36 years. Okay. But it's a terraced house, not a flat. Now, okay, for those people that don't understand what this means, so short leases are problematic in terms of getting a mortgage, and you're not going to get a mortgage on a property with a short lease flat. Sorry, you're not going to get a mortgage on a property with a short lease. So this is an issue, but it's solvable. And on the advanced training that Rich has done, it's one of the unmortgageable property situations that I show people how to get over. But this is a house, not a flat. Okay. So, not everything applies to a leasehold house as it does a flat. Can I still use that to my advantage as a potential buyer? It's on a lot much less than market value. Okay. So what we're always looking for with unmortgageable properties is, can we make it mortgageable, and how do we do so? Now, that requires an insight into how lenders think. And luckily, I've spent over 20 years dealing with mortgage lenders, done hundreds and hundreds of mortgages over that period of time. So I've got a pretty good idea of how mortgage lenders think. Now, if you could sum up mortgage lenders in one sentence, they trust the normal and distrust the abnormal. So 99% of houses in the UK, or certainly England and Wales, are freehold. And 99% of flats in England and Wales are leasehold. Scotland has a different system, so it works slightly differently up there. But certainly in England and Wales, 99% of flats are freehold. Sorry, 99% of flats are leasehold. So what does that mean? Well, lenders love freehold houses and leasehold flats, and they generally hate leasehold houses and freehold flats because they're abnormal. So the issue you've got here, and you look at it, and again, this goes back, it's another really basic tenet of property investing, is on any aspect of a property, is it mitigating risk or is it escalating risk? So are you making it the project easier to do or more difficult to do? Now, if you're looking at a terraced house, then you're immediately escalating the risk because you're reducing the number of mortgage lenders that you, if you want to keep it, or your buyer, if you want to flip it, can get a mortgage on. And when when people find it's difficult to get a mortgage on, they tend to get less enthusiastic about buying it. So I think the pivotal question here, Richard, is to look at, forgetting about the value for a minute, is to look at, is there an opportunity to buy the freehold? And if there is, now you're mitigating risk because you're bringing it back into what lenders like to see, what lenders are comfortable with. And if you can't, well, it's got to be a fantastic deal to offset the risk escalation that you're getting yourself into. So that's the key point there. There we are. So thanks for that question. Sam A says Martin is absolutely great. Well, I'm glad you think he is. Not quite sure what the relevance of that is, but there we are. Okay, so we've got another question here. So if you want to get a question answered, then ping it in the chat box here. Otherwise, a Q&A doesn't really have much to do, does it really, if there's no Q's to A. So got a question? Ping it in the chat box. Now we've got another one here. Again, my face disappears when I put this up a bit, but I'm sure you don't really mind too much about that. So we've got this as a Facebook user. Okay, so I use a streaming service called StreamYard, which allows me to put multiple avenues, channels out through just one source simultaneously. Now, going through Facebook likes you to give your permission to use your name, and you'll see a little box on there to click. If you don't click it, it preserves your identity, and it just comes up as Facebook user. And when I go drilling down into the quick Q&As and questions and that afterwards, I can see who it was, and I'll probably interact with them. So we're looking at a Facebook user here, and you said, Kevin, good morning. Well, yes, good morning to you. Please, can you explain how you can buy a project with less deposit? Well, I can actually, because I've been explaining that for 10 years. Let's look at the rest of the question, and I can probably give you a link to a video that I've shot that does exactly that. But let's have a look. We have a property that we currently lease and refurbish to a good standard. Okay, so you've done a lease option or purchase lease option, something like that. Okay, and during that time you've refurbed it. So in other words, you've been controlling this property for a given period of time. Okay, good, right? The owner plans to sell and we're looking to buy. Okay. Our investment has improved the property. Yep, it would have done if you refurbed it at your expense. You've now made the owner's property more valuable. How can we buy without losing what we spent? Yep. Okay, so we do these on a fairly regular basis, and it's a fairly simple way to do it. Okay. Now, you need to understand how mortgages work. In fact, I've done a video on this, so it wasn't the video I thought I was going to show you, but I will put a video. So I'll give you a brief explanation here I'm going to put the video up that explains how you do this. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is that when you get a mortgage, the basis of lending is on the lower of the purchase price or value. So purchase price or value. So if you've added value, and presumably when you set out the lease, however many years ago that was, you agreed a purchase price. But with the value you've added with your refurb, plus any market value increases in that intervening time, you've now got a property that's worth more than you're going to buy it for. Now, you could get a mortgage on it, but mortgage lenders, valuers are going to ignore everything. They're going to ignore the current value and just give you a mortgage based on your purchase price. So therefore, you'd have to put your normal 25% down. Now, that's not what you want to do, is it? I understand that. In fact, it's not what any investor wants to do if they're at this point of actually exercising their lease option. So how do you do it? We use a market value bridger that will lend based on the current value, which means you put down less deposit, possibly depending on how much value you've added and how much gap there is between the current value and the purchase price that's you've agreed to pay on the lease option. You could shrink your deposit dramatically. And then once you own it, now we can take you to a mortgage lender who will lend based on the value, not the purchase price. I mean, it's still not just a given that they do that. There's certain things you have to do that I and we can teach you and help you to do that. So yeah, let me find that video, pop it in there, and I'll connect up with you after that, and we'll be very happy to broker both the bridging and the mortgage for you. So it's not complicated to do. We've done it in several times. Now, let me just find that. See, when you've got 100 videos that I've now got on there, it takes a bit of looking for. So hold on a minute. Let's have a look. It's here somewhere. I know it is. Okay, right. So found it. Copy. Right. So you got the little got the volume thing on there, didn't you? There we are. Right. So let's pop that in there. That shows you why you can't use a mortgage. Well, you can use a mortgage, but you're gonna leave all your cash in it, which is the opposite of what you want to achieve. So perfectly achievable. There we are. Go and check that video out, and let's sort of connect up later today and help you to do that. There we are. So good. A few more questions coming in here. There we are. So there we are. There's greetings box. Well, I know greetings box is also in the same Ninja Achievers mentorship group as Richard. So there we are. So greetings box says, if you get a bridge in for 12 months on a development project and sell the development after 2 months, will it need redeeming on the sale of the asset, or could the bridge be moved on to the next project? No, you can't port a bridging loan over to a new project. When you sell the property that you got the bridging loan on, it's repaid, and then you take a new bridging loan or development loan, whichever it will be, on the new deal. So they're specific. There is one exception to that, and that is there is a you could call it as a term facility. Word escapes me at the moment, but we've done them. So it's like you've got a hunting license, if it's sometimes called. So it's a rolling credit facility. You tend to necessarily have a unencumbered property to do that, and so you'd have like a 3-year loan, and you can pay it back and take it out as much as you like. They're not that readily available, and they're not that easy to qualify. You need to have a substantial amount of equity in something to be able to do that. But yeah, So that's the exception. But pretty much every bridging loan, every development loan, you pay it back when you sell the asset, and the next time you take out a new one. There we are. Thanks for your question. Okay, next one. Jack Nicholson here again. Yeah. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I mean, that's the iconic photo from The Shining, isn't it? And popped up, and I was just, do you know what? My memory failed me, and I couldn't. I knew that face, and of course, I know it's Jack Nicholson. Couldn't think of it on the spur of the moment. So yeah, yeah. So Andrew, good to see you back. Why do lenders tend to increase rates for landlords with 4 or more buy-to-lets and others refuse to lend? Surely greater income means less risk for the lender. Yep, I know exactly what you're saying here. So what we're talking about, Andrew, is portfolio landlords. Okay, so this was something the FCA brought in, it's going to be about 3 years ago, maybe something like that. So portfolio landlords. So they they directed mortgage lenders to view landlords differently. You could say amateur and professional. Yep. Now, that not necessarily part-time and full-time, but amateur and professional. So amateur landlords, they decided, would be those with 3 or less properties, whether it was owned personally, in a limited company, combination of the two. Once you've got your 4th investment property, they say, hey, now we think you're more serious, so we need to underwrite you differently. That's the essence. Now, so they underwrite it differently. They want to see a business plan, cash projections, profit projections, and that type of thing. When you from your 4th property, investment property, and everyone after that. Now, so why do they do that? Because they need to treat you differently. And what they also look at now is, for the first 3 properties, they look at the application for that property in isolation. From the 4th one onwards, they look at it, your portfolio, holistically. Excuse me. So now they want to see that you're not over geared as a landlord. So that's part of the issue there. Why do they do higher rates? Because they can, really. And greater income means less risk. No, that's not how they view it. You see, the biggest mistake that investors can make is to think that mortgage lenders view the world in the same way as you would do as an investor. So they operate on a very different logic plane. So what they're going to see is, the more properties you've got, maybe the bigger chance you've got of being overwhelmed, of not being able to keep all those plates spinning. You might not be able to fill some of those properties, so because you've got too much going on. So there's a whole load of reasons why having more properties isn't it doesn't equate to less risk. Others refuse to lend. Yeah, so there are a few mainstream buy-to-let lenders that don't want bigger landlords. They like lending, so their avatar, if you like, their ideal client is someone that's in a job, earns 25 grand a year or more from that job, and has no more than 3 investment properties. For them, in their view of the world, you see, we all view the world through the prism of our beliefs, don't we? So in their view of the world, that represents low risk. So once you've got 3 properties, they don't want to lend anymore. Yeah. Hopefully that's explained to you the logic, but you've actually got to walk a mile in someone else's shoes and understand that they think differently from you. So there we are. But thanks for your question. There we are. Now, who we got next? A few more questions coming in there. There we are. Chintan, good morning. You're starting your property journey. Brilliant. Would you advise a cash purchase or getting a mortgage for my BRR strategy for your very first property? Okay. Well, hey, if you've got cash, use it. Always say this to people, even though, you know, as brokers, we brokered hundreds of mortgages, bridging loans, and the like. You know, some people say it's a bit daft, you're talking yourself out of business. No, it's not about us getting business. It's what's best for you. And what's best for you is not having any borrowing costs if they're avoidable. So when you use your own cash to buy a project, you don't have to pay any interest. So that makes your project more profitable. Why would you not do that? So most people don't have the cash actually. Now, getting a mortgage for your first BRR is not the thing to do. Now, I've done a video on that, why you must not. So watch this video, Chintan. Watch this video when we're finished here. Let me find this one. You absolutely must not buy a BRR deal and use a mortgage to buy the property. You can only use cash or bridging. So it's actually fraudulent to use a mortgage. Let me find the video to tell you why. Go and watch this video when we're done. Going scrolling down to find that. Trying to find that as quick as I can for you. Yeah, it gets a bit awkward when you got so many videos on there. Where are we? Can't see it at the moment. I got video blindness, but so I'll find that and I'll ping it in before I run away today. But there we are. So yeah, you can't use a buy-to-let. You can't use a buy-to-let mortgage to buy it. You've got to buy it with cash or bridging finance. You've got cash, so use your cash, refurb it, and then get a mortgage. Good, great. Thanks for your question. Thanks so much. Looking forward to hearing from you. I'm guessing that's the same Facebook user that was talking about the lease option, buying the lease option. So there we are. Good. Making sure that haven't missed any questions. Oh, talking about buy, refurb, refinance. I said at the beginning of this video that I've just done my buy, refurb, refinance summit in London. So people came along there, had a great day. Well, they told me they had a great day anyway. I've got 3 more coming up. In Birmingham in May, 15th of May, Bristol 6th of June, and Leeds on the 4th of July. If you want to jump in on one of those, let me give you a link. Here we are. So that's the link to the live in-person BRR summits. Now, you might not live that near one of those cities in the coming months, or you might actually be more comfortable not leaving home. I've got an option for that too. Not exactly the same event, but it's very similar. A lot of the same content. It's all about recycling your cash, and that's my Recycle Your Cash Masterclass. And I'm actually doing that this coming Saturday. It's 10 till 3. Just log in, and I'll be doing it on a video screen like this, and there we are. I'm going to pop that in there. I'll actually have my better camera with me actually, so you'll get a better quality screen. So yeah, can't wait till the 15th of May or June or July. Come along on the 1st of May when I'll be doing it online. Good. Okay. So there we are. Oh, just seen a thing from Tarek. There we are. He was there on Saturday. Great event on Saturday. Lovely to meet you. You know, there's nothing quite like meeting people face to face. It's, you know, really good to meet you. And so that's good. And look forward to working with you in the future, Tarek. There we are. Ticker, there we are. Good to see you back again. Morning, Kevin. If you turn your residential mortgage into a buy-to-let mortgage and release funds as of added value or value has gone up in the area of the property, yep, okay. How many times and how soon can you do this on your next property? Okay, well, you're probably only going to do that once, realistically, because if you refurb your residential property, you can't refurb it every year, can you? Because it doesn't need refurbing. So that's a pretty, you know, one-off thing. You're going to move out of your residential property into somewhere else that you're going to live. Either you're renting it or buying it, and then you can switch your previous main residence over to a buy-to-let mortgage. And as long as the rent's big enough, you can take that out. So it pretty much is a once only opportunity. Now, after a few years, then the increase in the market value would mean you might get another opportunity to do that. But, you know, I mean, okay, so prices aren't going up incredibly fast. They are going up at the moment because it's a bit of a seller's market. It's a bit hot. But yeah, so really you get one crack at this, Ticker. And that's to take advantage of the uplifting value that your refurb has done, and maybe any market value increase since the time you bought it to now. So pretty much it's a once only opportunity. Thanks for your question, Ticker. Then we've got Margaret. How can I get a pre-approved bridging loan so buying would be easier? I'm from the Netherlands. You want to buy it to sell? Yep. Okay. So bridges are quite happy to lend to you. Doesn't matter whether you're in the Netherlands or not. We've got a few Netherlands clients actually. So now let me see if I can find a video, because I can show you very simply how to get pre-approved for a bridging loan. You just have to answer no to 3 questions. Let me see if I can find that video. Right. Looking down here. Right, found that one. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this in there. Going to pop this into the chat box. Margaret, go and watch this, and you'll see how easy it is to get pre-approved for bridging. Because pretty much everyone can get bridging finance. They're way less fussy than mortgage lenders. And when you've seen that, go find yourself a property, get back in touch, and we'd love to broker that bridging loan for you. Good. There we are. Okay. So there we are. Great. So there's the questions for this week. I say I'm on for about half an hour or so. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's more or less. We're about 35 minutes at the moment. Now, unless you've got another question, I'm going to be hopping off to go do some filming for my YouTube channel. So last chance to get in with a question for this week, and I'll be back. I won't be here next bank holiday Monday, but I'll be here the Monday after that. So have we got? We've got another question popped in here. So here we are, Sam. Okay, so Sam's done my advanced training, the Ninja Investor program. So always happy to answer questions from people that are working with me at a a higher level, deeper level, whichever way you want to do it. Okay, so if you are a JV partner for a fixed return, is having a first charge on the investment property the best option? Yeah. Okay. So if you what we mean here is if you've lent money for a fixed return, fixed interest loan, I don't know, 6, 8, 10, 12, whatever it is you've done, you want security over that money. Otherwise, it can be very difficult for those to repay you. And first charge is absolutely the best option, yeah, because they can't sell that property without their solicitor first giving you that money. So let's say they sell it for 200,000 and you've lent them 100,000, let's say. So on the day of the sale, their solicitor that's handling the sale for them would get that £200,000 from the buyer. Now, they cannot give any money to the previous owner until any charge on the property has first been settled. So your money would be paid to release your charge, and the seller, the person you lent the money to, would get the residual balance. Good, there we are. Okay. Great. So Ticker's come back with a you didn't ask the right question. Okay, well, I can only answer what you put on what you type in. So if I let my main residence and buy another property as my main residence, then after a couple of years, can I let to buy that? Okay, right. Okay, I understand. Yeah, but it's got to be at least a couple of years. Otherwise, you can't be doing this every 6 months, because then you're getting a mortgage under false pretenses, because you don't really want a main residence mortgage at all. Now, the issue you're going to have is buy-to-let mortgages are at 75%, and you've probably got a main residence mortgage higher than that. So unless each time you're buying something to add value, so you could buy something, a property, needs some work doing to it, you refurb it, add value, you live in it for a couple of years, and then could you do that every couple of years with subsequent properties? Yeah, you could. And thanks for clarifying your question. And you were going to talk about coming to sorry, Richard, just the Birmingham BRR is good for you. So 15th of May, hoping I'll see you in Birmingham. Ticker, there we are. Good. Sorry, Richard. Okay, so Richard says you've got a right to buy and need a remortgage next year. Can I lose a bridging loan instead and also need a bigger place? Okay, so several things here. So right to buy is where you're using your discount accumulated over years as a council tenant to purchase the property at a discount. Now, it says you've got that, and so you've already done that. So you were the tenant, you're now the owner. I'm going to assume that's what you mean. You can clarify it if you want to. Now you need to remortgage it next year. Well, the critical thing here is, how long ago did you buy the property from the council? Because it needs to be 5 years. You can't be remortgaging the property within the 5 years, because the discount you got is still payable on a sliding scale back to the council. So you only ever get to keep the discount after you've owned the property 5 years. So mortgage lenders are not interested in lending you more money until you've owned it 5 years. Now, if you haven't owned it 5 years, pretty much you're stuffed. If you have owned it 5 years, right, just seen the next comment. So it's 5 years next year. Yeah. So 5 years next year, then you've done your time. You can keep all the discount that you got from the council, and now that's feasible to remortgage it. Yeah. Now, if you're still living there, then the remortgage is going to be based on your personal circumstances, your age, your income, your commitments, your lifestyle expenses, just like every other mortgages. But if you're going to rent it out, similar to what Ticker's talking about, then other options open up. If you need a bigger house, well, yeah, you're going to need a bigger income, then, aren't you? But we'll certainly look at that for you, Richard. So just touch base with me. Probably the easiest way. Let me give you a link to my Facebook page, Property Finance Expert. Let's just pull that up there. I check this message box daily, so let's pop that in there for you. Now, word of warning or heads up, really, Richard. It's next year, but mortgages are taking longer post-COVID than they used to pre-COVID. So whenever that 5-year anniversary is, I'd be looking to get in touch with us about a good 4 months in advance of that. So we've got plenty of time to work through and deal with the delays that mortgage lenders and solicitors are currently experiencing. Maybe they'll be a bit quicker next year, but they've certainly got slower since then. Okay, so thanks for your question, Richard. Tika says, definitely seeing you Birmingham on 15th of May. Fantastic. Yeah, remember to come up and say hello. Okay, Tika's back with another question. But you can't see me at all now. I'm still here. You can't see me at all now, but okay. I think it's important you get to read this. Right, so in regard to Andrew's question, let me remind myself what Andrew's question was. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the portfolio landlords, right? Clear on that now. Okay. In regard to amateur property investors, if I don't want to be classed as a professional investor, if it makes any difference to these lenders to remain in their amateur bracket, yeah. So, okay, so get the question about expensive ones, 5 or 6 beds. No, it's not about the value of your properties, Ticker, that determines you as not a portfolio landlord. It's number of properties. So if you only ever have 3 properties, investment properties, you won't be classed as a portfolio landlord and subject to portfolio landlord underwriting criteria. Yeah, it's not about the size of the rent, it's not about the value of the properties. It's right, strategies to keep 3. Now here you see you've misunderstood this. So strategies to keep 3 buy-to-lets and then have holiday lets as they are classed as a business in a different category. No, that doesn't work. It's the property, the investment properties you own, not how you use them, Ticker. So if you don't want to be a portfolio landlord, you can never own more than 3 investment properties. Doesn't matter if one's an HMO, one's commercial, one's a holiday let. That's how it works. But see, good question, because you're learning from this. Right. Have we got any more questions? Okay. Looks like we're done. Okay. So stayed on a few minutes longer because people come in with a couple of more questions. So appreciate you showing up today, whether you caught the beginning, whether you caught the end or somewhere in between, and if you've been here the whole time, really appreciate that. If you're watching the replay, thanks for that. Just put hashtag replay in there so I know. And one final thing before we go, I've got a property Facebook group called Recycle Your Cash for Property Investors. Maybe you're in it already. Maybe you're watching through that now. If you're not, come and join. Let me give you a link. Be great to see you there. Just finding the link. we go, popping that in there. Anyway, come and join me in my property finance group. Okay, I said I was going to find another video, didn't I? So I'll look at that and put that in the link here. I'll just scroll back and remind myself which one it was. Okay. I thought I was going, but you've come in with another couple of questions, and I'll stay here until all questions are answered. So we've got Mr. Vex. Good to see you, Mr. Vex. I need your advice. I want to buy a home in the city of Fairview in the South Zone. No idea where Fairview is or the South Zone. Doesn't sound like a UK city to me. You know, I really focus on UK stuff. Would you take a chance with COVID? Your property can't catch COVID. It's a people thing. So, and you're saying, would I wait? Would you wait, or maybe till next summer? Why? I can't get the context of your question, to be honest. So there we are. So Jabba Chowdhury, there we are. Love your videos. I'm glad you love my videos. Thank you very much. I have 40,000 to invest. How should I invest it? Well, 40,000 is a chunk of money, and it's quite substantial in most things in life, not that substantial in property. So you've got to decide, really. The big decision you've got to make is, do you go for a ready to rent property, or do you go for a doer-upper? Now, if you go for a ready to rent property, you'll get one property probably up to about 150, 160,000 pounds worth of value. Now, once you've bought that property, that's it, you're done. So if you only ever want to own one property, that's the way to go. If you're more ambitious and you want to own more than one property, you can't afford to buy a ready to rent. You've got to buy a property that you can do up and then refinance at the uplifted value to get your cash back out. That's buy, refurb, refinance. That's recycle your cash. And that's what I've been teaching people how to do for the last 10 years, people like yourself, investors like yourself. So, you know, please you like my videos. And if you need more help on that, then just get in touch. Happy to do that. Thanks very much. And we've got one more questioning coming in from Tarek. There we are, Tarek from Saturday. We met Saturday at my buy, refurb, refinance summit, which I was talking about earlier. Is there any way that you can reduce the mortgage deposit when moving from a mortgage into bridging? Yep, every time, Tarek. That's the whole point of BRR that you came to on Saturday. The whole point is to not have to put down a 25% deposit. So if you buy a property, let's say at 80,000, yeah. Let's say you spend, I'm going to just make up some figures here. Let's say you spend 10,000 on it. So you bought it for 80, you spent 10,000 on it. And now, simple numbers, it gets revalued at 120. Now, a 75% mortgage on 120,000 is 90. So you bought it for 80, you spent 10, total 90. It's now worth 120, and you get a 90,000 mortgage. That you've reduced your deposit in that case to nothing. Now, it's not going to be always that simple, but in essence, that is buy, refurb, refinance. That is what I was teaching you to do on Saturday, or at least giving you the roadmap of how you do that on Saturday. Tarek, love to work with you at a deeper level, because I can help you do this. Great. And Jabba says, thank you very much. Welcome, Jabba. Look to interact with you more in the future. There we are. So I keep trying to go, don't I? And it never happens. But I think we're there now. So if you're around next Saturday, 1st of May, come and join me on my Property Finance Masterclass, live streamed over the internet. Come and see me at a Buy Refurb Refinance Summit, or let's broker your deal. Come and join my Facebook group. And hey, most of all, have a great week. Have a great property week. Enjoy the bank holiday weekend coming up. And I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Have a great week.